Africa.
Yeah.
So where in Africa are you launching?
We are going to establish our beachhead in South Africa, but we are now, actually Linda is in Africa as we speak, looking at several other countries. So.
Wow, big plans for expansion of Gndeavor.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. It's very exciting.
Now, I believe there's also an element of the Gndeavor process that has an MBA focus.
That's correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about the MBA
Yeah, we
program?
have what we call the eMBA program, which is every summer we have some of the best and brightest MBAs from leading business schools are selected through a very rigorous process to come down to Latin America and work with our companies. They end up spending their second years, many of them, working with the companies on projects back at the school. Some have actually joined the companies after graduation. Some have not even returned to business school. So
there must be a catch there. You must be doing something right.
Yeah.
Where,
No, it's
I work with this new venture or finish my MBA at Harvard.
No, it's a very exciting program. It's actually one of the top recruiters at Harvard and Stanford business schools. Both of them, I think we are in the top 5 in terms of interest level among students for summer jobs.
Well, that leads me to another question that I'm sure many of our viewers have at home. I mean, obviously you come from an established, wonderful educational background with Harvard, Yale, and Princeton, but there are a number of people out there that haven't been as fortunate to go to such wonderful schools. Is it possible to become an entrepreneur if you don't have such a great educational background?
Yeah, I think I'm probably the exception and not the rule. Most entrepreneurs don't go to those schools. Most entrepreneurs, come right out of high school or even bail out of college and start their enterprises. Bill Gates is the best example. No, in fact, I'd say that most great entrepreneurs don't spend as much time as I did in the library, or at least that's what I like my parents to think I was doing.
Yeah, sometimes it's the lessons of hard knocks and
it is. It's the school of hard knocks.
Street smarts that might help these entrepreneurs get an edge, and I found that to be particularly true in my experience in Latin America. It was amazing to see. The dynamics of so many unstable conditions, economic, legal framework, and perhaps dealing with some not such kosher business practices, to see how people were able to maneuver and just get it done, and it's just amazing.
That's actually the hindrance of entrepreneurship in Latin America specifically, which is that because the institutional framework and the judicial system, for example, is so bankrupt, to be quite blunt, entrepreneurs really have to get around the system to make good. So they developed, sort of an identity, if you will, that in the public mind is not particularly positive. So one of the things that we're trying to do is promote the idea of entrepreneurship.
We'll follow up on more on entrepreneurship and the Gndeavor Foundation after this break.
Security, I think, is not always a given, which may have been something that we took for granted in the past.
To ultimately be the victor in the war against terrorism, we need all Americans to be engaged, down to the point where we ask mothers and fathers to think about doing some simple things at home to protect themselves and protect their children.
No terror that's even greater, not knowing if your children are safe, if your family's safe. So come worse than that.
People and your children understand that there is a plan.
Having these plans in place is just sort of common sense.
Establish like a communication plan, how to get in touch with each other.
You'll have a radio, you'll have a flashlight, you'll have batteries.
Make sure you have enough water and food.
Have your basic essentials that you would need in everyday life.
You will have done something to prepare. You were in control. You had a choice. We're asking America to be ready.
People will pull together and people will make it through this.
Hi, welcome back to Miami's Global Connection. I'm Whitney Belker. Peter, we were talking about Gndeavor and the importance of entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. Why do you think entrepreneurship is so particularly important in emerging markets?
Well, I think that many governments in the emerging countries are suffering from sort of an institutional malaise, if you will. The private sector is a huge force for change. We know that in the U.S., and the power of entrepreneurship in this country has been enormous. So giving rise to an entrepreneurial class of citizenry, we think at Gndeavor, is absolutely critical to the future development of these countries. And without it, they will continue to struggle. So, private sector innovation, entrepreneurship, job creation, wealth creation, not its redistribution, which is sort of what's typically occurred, is really the answer in our minds.
And what are some of the best examples of entrepreneurship that you've seen through the Gndeavor program? Can you name a couple of the companies that some of our viewers might have heard of or should be looking for?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've had some tremendous companies. OfficeNet in Argentina, which is sort of the staples, if you will, of Latin America.
I remember OfficeNet. I think I bought from them a few times when I lived there.
Very well. There was Patagon.com, of course.
Which is a fantastic success. And let's talk about Patagon for a moment, because that was back during the boom of the technology and kind of like the E-Trade, if it was, of Latin America. And what did it sell for? $500 and something million dollars?
Yeah. It made Wences Casares, who's on the board of Gndeavor, a very wealthy young man, and he's enormously wonderful guy. He gives back a lot to society, and he's involved in some very new, exciting ventures. So.
And so, for example, do you remember how much he started that company with?
Wences had very little. I mean, he had a couple $1,000 that he started the company with, and when I met him for the first time, he asked me to invest in his company. I didn't, because Gndeavor is a non-profit, but he started with very little. He bootstrapped, and he did a phenomenal job, really, of building the company. But we're a lot more than just technology. We have Southern Winds, which is an airline. We have
I know Southern Winds as well, the regional airline.
We have a wind turbine company, biotech in Chile, agricultural logistics in Argentina. A cookie company in Chile, media company, women's media company in Mexico. So we really run the gamut in terms of opportunities and entrepreneurs.
So let's talk about, there's so many people that have these amazing ideas that are thinking to themselves, how am I going to do this? I've only got a couple $1,000 and, they might already have a job, and do I leave my job? Do I go for it? Do I not go for it?
Right.
What do you normally say to entrepreneurs who are really trying to make the decision to take that leap of faith and do something off the beaten path?
Well, you asked the right question. I mean, I would say to entrepreneurs, not everything has to be in place, because entrepreneurship is risk-taking to begin with. But there are a couple critical factors that have to be in place. The plan has to be fairly well, delineated. They have to be prepared to execute on it. The team has to be
So the business plan, you're talking about the importance of writing an actual business plan that explains the market, the competition,
how one is going to go from step A to step B.
And how you're going to make money.
and how you're going to make money, exactly.
Right. I think we have another video clip that talks about some of the other entrepreneurs that Gndeavor has worked with. Perhaps we can bring that up to share with our viewers.
Even if you're a woman or a man working in Chile or in the States or in China, if you really want to do something and create something, if you do it hard and you work hard and you want to innovate every day and do things better, you can do it. It's just a way of thinking.
One thing I really enjoy doing now is going to colleges, like my own college, and telling my story in a way that all those students can relate to, and they can feel like, if Wences did this, I can also do it.
Tonight, in Rio de Janeiro, in Johannesburg, in Amman, a child is dreaming. What if someone told that child, you can have an idea, you can change the world, What if someone gave that child hope?